So here we are. I know one of my biggest videos to date, I talked so much crap about the price of this wave. And I talked about how probably said people shouldn't buy it. So am I a hypocrite? Yes and no. You might think I'm lying, but when I hit purchase, when I hit purchase, first I saw the sale price. And I just said, oh, it's on sale. Boom, hit purchase. And then I saw the individual figure price, $40. And then everything got shed to the light. And here we are. And if you do the math, it is 5 figures. It's $27 a figure. I know it's an excuse. And I always say in this channel, price point is king. And if you look at it, this set has not sold out. The last wave, with the new wave coming up with Green Lantern and a classic looking, the Lantern, the Batman, and who else is in that wave? Aquaman. Sold out. Price point is king. Good price, sells out. Bad price, doesn't sell out. So here we are though. And we are going to talk about the best one to the worst one. I could already tell the two I wanted, which were Psycho Pirate and the Spectre, look great. So let's see about the others. Today, on Toy Games. Hey! Oh! Games! Toy Games! Well, let's start with my two favorite. They are reuse. This appears to be Martian Manhunter. Totally new cape, new trunks. There's a lot of nice texture in the trunks and in the boots and the gloves and the cape. Little starry thing behind him, like he's the Spectre. It's, I don't know if it's canon or comic accurate. It does look cool. Nice effect back there. Psycho Pirate. Everything's punched in nice with the little faces. Kind of digitized. I'll get close-ups of that. That's on the Riddler buck. The gold looks good on the head. New cape. It appears to be a new cape. It doesn't have them two gold like buttons or like the Green Lantern had. Yeah, it's tough to criticize. If you don't like stylized capes, you won't like these guys. This one's obviously a lot more dramatic than Psycho Pirate. Trigger finger, I don't like there. I just rather have two fists than a hand that holds nothing and doesn't have any purpose other than to look different. Either give me an open hand or two fists. I don't like the trigger finger. Kind of on both. I can live with it. Really have minimal, if any, gripes about these two figures. The Baff is the Monitor, who I think is great. I think is really nice. There's texture freaking everywhere. In the cape, in the pants, and the boots, in the hair. There's texture out the butt cheeks. The gloves are even textured. Really nice. Two fists, no trigger finger. I don't think this guy is super tall in the comics, but he is bigger than this Soups. So he is on the bigger side, which is nice, especially for a Build-A-Figure. I have zero issues with this figure. I think he is really cool. And what I like about him as someone who finds joy in repainting, I could, paint this, make it a little bit more comic accurate. Like I said, there's texture everywhere. All right, turn him around. Look at that cape. Look at that. This is a really nice figure. It really is. I can't stress it enough. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, on to Old Man Superman, who here's the downfall to this price point. I'm not going to buy multiples of this guy for $40. And I'd like to, and I'll show you why in a second. Some people said this looks soft. I don't know what that means in terms of a sculpt. He's just wearing spandex, so then you're going to see some subtle sculpt work around the shoulder and around the crotch to look like cloth. Really, really nice looking. I wish that this came down past the peg, but it doesn't. The head is somewhat accurate to the comic. If I use the card as a reference, it's Superman when he's an old dude. That blue is different. And this head kind of looks like an old Mark Ruffalo or an old mobster. You could really have quite the team now of old guineas. With this head, that head, smiling head, you really have a crew going. Really fucking have a wacky crew of Superman heads. You know, they could form a quartet or whatever you want to call them, singers. But it's a good buck. It's a really good buck. Here's where it gets fucking kooky. This S looks like someone's kid drew it. And we finally get it. We finally get a freaking another S on the back, and it's weird. He puts S's on Bizarro, on a Justice 2 video game, Supergirl, and then on his soups he gives us this giant. You know when a friend goes to get a tattoo and they're all excited and you're like, oh shit, what are you gonna get? Oh, I'm gonna get the Superman S. Oh, cool. And they show you it and then it looks like this, and you gotta pretend it looks nice. Has that vibe. The wired cape is a nice touch. If you're going to do capes, do them right. Oh, the coupe de gras that was in the thumbnail ain't fucking painted. Look at that shit. Look at that. Now people will, this is where I differentiate from other reviewers. Like, I like McFarlane figures. I like the charm. I like how they're fun. I like how I can repaint them. I don't want to have to repaint yellow. Yellow doesn't cover. I mean, this figure is painted. Now, someone had a good point in the McFarlane group, and I think these were rushed out the door, and here's why. The point was this, and I completely can see this. They painted the belt first, then slapped the cape on last. They didn't want this paint, the yellow paint, to hit the cape and get yellow paint on the cape. These are sculpted red, molded red rather. Yellow was put on afterwards. Then the cape probably. They don't want paint on the cape. Now, what they should have done, paint it, wait, then put the fucking cape on. Rush job. On a positive note, this is the best I've ever seen a cloth cape tucked into a Superman figure. Even by Mezco Superman, it comes out, it's a mess. This is really pressed in there hard. Best. This is, I can prove it. I can prove it. You know, I tell you these things, and you might not believe me. Look at the NECA one. That's kind of bunchy, and it looks weird. Looks like he's wearing a fucking towel, okay? Look at the McFarlane one. All right? I put my money where my mouth is. It does. It looks good. And I'm going to show you what else looks good right now. This head sculpt on this Superman, I think, elevates this to a more real classic. A really nice classic looking Superman figure. This looks tremendous. If you happen to have that collector's edition, kind of the, soups, the Flesher soups, kind of that old style. This looks really good. Really good. What's going on there? Another positive, this elbow joint is some of the best I've seen from McFarlane. Doesn't pop out all odd. It stays in there really smooth. There's some positives to the negatives, to compare to the negatives of this figure. I think, you know, that besides that goofy ass, and it is what it is with the head, as I stutter, you probably have some Superman heads floating around if you're a McFarlane collector. Overall, I like it. Not as much as I wanted to, though. Moving on to more just plain out madness. This guy has two different hands. Two different hands. I mean, what is going on? One is even a different color.
What the fuck were they
Never
thinking?
mind. Now, I could have gotten over the fact that he's too big for a Kid Flash. He should have been on this buck. Does it make any sense did this buck just get retired and thrown away? Is everything going to be on the Riddler buck? Or the gold, the Blue Beetle buck and the Riddler buck? Is this buck, did they destroy it? This should have been the buck he was on. Getting past that, he has this one is for a different figure. And let's look at the other hands. Wait do you see this? These are like baby hands. It's the hand. It's like the guy from Scary Movie, Chris Elliott. It's kind of a joke. Now, luckily, Bones of the Necro Zoo figured out that Red Tornado's hands kind of go on there and fit quite well. And I'm not using these. I have fists on Red Tornado, so I will slap them on there. But this figure's a mess. The head, Head isn't too bad. Should have been on a smaller buck. Should have came with human-sized hands. And the fisted hands should have been the same size. It is very silly. Very, just unacceptable. Especially at this price point. I'm sure they didn't know it was going to be this price point. But then imagine if this shipped to stores. Oh, what a disaster. Let's take a look at the whole group together. The reality is this, a $22, $22, $23, $24 price point, you can let things slide. Do I like the wave overall? I really like 3 figures. I like 1 figure. I do not like another at all. You know, I really wanted to love this wave given what I spent, but I don't love it. Like I said, these 2 are the standouts, followed by the Monitor. Superman has a few really strange quirks. I think once you pop this head on there, you got a nice figure. I think this is going to sit. I think if people are honest about this wave, I think it's going to sit a little longer. I think cars are going to continue to race down my road. And I think this will go even lower in price. I really do. Especially the single releases. No one's going to spend $40. I know he sold out. That's it. Let me know what you think. I'm sure the McFarlane haters are going to come out the woodwork for this one. I'm sure you're going to let me have it for buying this wave after saying how egregious it was to sell it at this price. And it still is. It still is an egregious price point. But I'm a toy collector. I am what I am. And I'm not a sailor, man. Anyway, take care. Have fun. See you later in the week.